All right, this is Rip and Joe with Dover Living, and we are coming back to you to talk to you about a couple different items. I think we're going to start off with water features.
So, what is your favorite water feature, Rip?
What's my favorite water feature? Oh gosh, waterfall, a natural waterfall,
Because we got,
or an
you got,
infinity
I
edge,
know, you got sheer descents, you got rain curtains,
rain
you've got
curtain. Yeah.
waterfalls, you've got
Well, you know,
Infinity Edge is one of my favorites. I've actually had two pools with Infinity Edges, and that's
yeah.
probably one of my favorites. I think, and it kind of depends on.
So, what's the point of a water feature?
Well, it depends on the lay of your land. I talked about another segment where when we were talking about pool locations, these people came off their house and they talked about where it had a slope and they really wanted to do a grotto and a waterfall. And I showed them, we have done that, we have designed that, and the results, you have to look at the lay of your land a little bit and just kind of go with because if you have a yard that slopes down, you don't want to create a big waterfall, and especially if it's got a grotto. You could probably get away with it if it's just building it up a few feet and have a waterfall. But a grotto, you're having to go up 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, and you don't want something that looks like a sore thumb, right? So you could go
I
with
think
that
when you're looking at
infinity edge.
natural, I think so. A natural waterfall, I think, has to follow the lay of the land and not just where the pool is. You see a lot of pools that I call them like Mickey Mouse pools, where they've got the faux grotto coming up and coming at you, but your mind knows that water wouldn't be right there, and I think you have to have a source that's coming from uphill down to the pool, or at least you have to create the sense that that's happening on natural.
Or if you want an infinity edge, you have to have a yard that slopes down. No matter how much you want to have something, have your mind kind of open.
We say that unless the infinity edge is coming at the house.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you
know
kinda
what?
have a
I'm
little
going to put a
courtyard.
picture of one right here of one that's coming toward the house. Those are very unique.
Oh, I love those.
I mean, I'm telling you, they're probably one of my favorites is like if a yard slopes down that goes parallel with the house, and you could have the pool up at the upper area, maybe the same level as the house, the main level of the house, and then the yard slopes, and at the bottom is the basement level. You build the pool at the top, and then you have an infinity edge falling toward the house. Because the cool thing about infinity edge is what it looks like looking, because they're usually on the back of a pool, and you don't really see the water falling. But when you can make the waterfall towards the house and you can see that look, and then you go around the
Then
other
you're
side of the
appreciating
pool,
it from below.
and above, because from above you'll be able to see that, And I had one on my old pool, and it was awesome. You didn't even know that that area was back there until you kind of walked down. But again, you have to have the lay of your land.
Well, when I first started doing pools and wanted to do infinity edges, and I'm just like, oh, but you have to be at the beach, or you have to be on the lake, or you have to be in the mountains, or something like that, and that those opportunities weren't on the properties I was working on. So what I was very conscious of is I would put summer flowering shrubs or trees or perennials or something so that angle was you're getting the reflection of those flowers in the water there. And that's worked really well. I kind of still think along those lines.
Yeah. You know what though? In 25 years, I think because you can only build your pool so far from a body of water too. I mean, it's not like you can build it right up on the water just with today's codes and everything. But we've probably maybe done 5 pools over 25 years that actually you could be sitting there and see the water from the pool and have it go together with the water source, and don't do an infinity edge because you're not on water, because that's just you don't have to do it. Look at because it's the cool factor and it's just kind of a cool thing to have. And you got to remember this too, Real. If you have a backyard that goes at a slope, and you have to have an exposed wall in back of your pool, talk to your pool builder, because you're already having to pay for an exposed wall there. So basically, you're just adding in a tank and a pump. Yeah, it's going to cost you more, but some of that cost for that infinity edge is already built into the exposed wall on the back of the pool, And so if you don't do infinity edge, you're still going to have to do that exposed wall. But again, a lot of them just kind of depends on the your lay of your land if you slope
But
up.
you only need like 18 inches. I've done several where, and it's just still a bit of an exciting thing, relative, but it's exciting that you see the water just going over that edge right there.
It
And it
100%
may is only
is.
going 18 inches or even in a trough.
It 100% is.
Or even a
Right
slot.
here, right here, it's a pool that's only got a 2-foot high infinity edge in the back. It's just that coolness, and so it really doesn't matter. We've had them 2 feet fall to the house, and so that's just a very, very cool water feature. And sometimes here lately, the last few years, instead of just doing your troughed, we would make the tank bigger. It would become like a little sitting area or tanning shelf or something with that.
Well, there's a couple cool things about that I really appreciate is like, so one thing is when you turn your infinity pool off, when you turn that water off, all that water returns to that basin unless you have an underground tank, and then that water fluctuates in the basin. That's kind of what the point of the basin is, really. But when you make that basin bigger into your bigger double pool or whatever, the amount of drop is less because you have more square footage to work with.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's fantastic.
Now, a couple of negative things on that while we're on infinity edges. One is when you're swimming in the pool, you always have to turn your infinity edge pump on because when you're splashing around on the top pool, you have to have that water continuously pumping back up from that tank into the pool, or it's going to overflow at the bottom and you're going to lose water. Which is not a big deal because today everything's just a push a button on your phone, so it's not a big deal having it coming on. Second of all, it is a little bit more maintenance because it's a second body of water. So, but I wouldn't let that hinder from not getting one.
So the water chemistry is going to be the same, but the cleaning of it's different.
Yeah, just getting leaves out. It's just a second body of water. Yeah, because you're using the same filter and heat, and you're using the same thing with the pool. Now, getting into waterfalls, going the opposite way up, and you can have them. You can have a grotto and coming over, or you can have a small waterfall. You can have a large one. So it kind of depends on what the size room you have and the budget that you have on what you want to do with that, right? On the waterfall feature. And then if you have a smaller budget, you could always have like 2 or 3 shear descents coming out. If you have a raised back wall, you could have some shear descents coming out.
So shear descent is usually it's a PVC strip. It can be curved or straight. It's kind of tucked up underneath the coping usually, and you turn it off. You kind of don't see it. You turn it on, the water's coming out. They have some that come out and shoot straight down. They have some that actually shoot up and do this. The normal one just kind of comes out in an arc.
Yeah.
So I'm a
It kind
bigger
of looks
fan.
like if you have and again, a water feature could be your spa spillover. So the shear descents kind of looks like the water if you had a
The water does, but I tell you what I like instead of the shear descent is a scupper. So like a metal actual copper probably or steel, and it's a shaped scupper, a pipe or a square, or it can be a trough like this big. And then for me, that's an architectural element. It costs a little bit more, just a little bit more, and you can get the same kind of effect going from it.
And
but
those
I just like
scuppers, it really depends on what because there's literally hundreds, 1,000 different scuppers, right? And so a lot of those are personal
We've made our own
choice.
even, yeah.
Yeah, but I tell you one thing to really watch for, and I think 100% when you're interviewing your pool company you're going to use and pricing things out, make sure every water feature you has its own pump.
Oh yes.
I mean, because I'm telling you, there are some pool builders that's going to come out there and they're going to tell you, oh yeah, you can save money on a separate pump, and we'll just tie it into your pool pump. So basically, every time your pool's running, whether you want it or not, that waterfall or shear descent is going to be running also.
Well, you can valve that out, but there's a couple reasons. One is I was talking with my brother about this yesterday, is uncomplicating it. So your circulation pump, if all it's doing is circulation, it will be your spa spillover, because that's part of that of the circulation. But you want that to run low and slow. You want to run that as the lowest speed to save yourself electricity for the longest period of time to turn over that chemistry. And all my pools are pretty much 24/7 on that. I don't time those out. I have those going all the time. But then when you have your feature, and I like to put those on variable speed as well, but your features, it's not going to affect your circulation. You can go over here and just use your features when you want to use them, and maybe you have different speeds on them.
Yeah, and I think the only maybe exception that I might be okay with is if, say, like if you have 2 shear descents in your wall, and maybe you have 2 or 3 bubblers in your tanning shelf. It may be okay just to use the same pump on both of those because neither one of them is big water features. So, and usually when you turn one of those on, you're going to turn the other one on anyway. So you could probably save some money and only have one pump on like those 2 small items.
What I see a lot though is people either do the shear descents or the shelf bubblers.
That's another water feature in itself. Using
I love
the bubblers,
it. Yeah,
you know.
and then the spa. But then the way they designed it is when you are in spa mode, you can't run the water feature.
Yeah.
And I've heard this. Many people tell me that other builders tell me this. It's like, well, when you're in the spa, you don't need the water feature. And I'm like, when I'm in there and I'm sitting in the hot water, I do want to see that feature. So I like separating those out and do it every time I can.
You know, a question that I get a lot, and I guess knowing the pool business and designer, I just automatically know it, and we kind of think it's funny. But some people think that because usually when you have a heater, you have one heater when you have a spa, and it either heats the pool or the spa, one or the other, or a spillover. There's 3 modes. So your pool builder should be telling you that you don't heat your pool, or you're not going to be losing water when you're trying to heat your spa. You're not going to be losing that hot water going into the pool for the spillover. There is a mode that cuts that off. So basically you're just heating the spa, or you're just heating the pool, or you have the spillover, you know. But any of these water features, I just think it's nice, even if you don't have a wall. If you want, I'm not a big fan of them. Some people love them, but you know, if you don't have any walls and you have deck all around your pool, you could even do some deck kits to go in, and you don't need
And
a
I
wall
promise
for that.
you cannot get them to land to the exact same spot
Yeah.
and walk away, and a week later they're not a little off. I've not been able successfully.
But you
nail
know what?
that.
It's just not, even if you don't have a spa, you don't have any walls, and you have deck around your pool, that's another option too. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys next time, and you know, like us, leave us a comment, and we'll talk to you soon.